Jeet Kune Do. For security, the unlimited living is turned into something dead, a chosen pattern that limits. To understand Jeet Kune Do, one ought to throw away all ideals, patterns, styles. In fact, he should throw away even the concepts of what is or isn't ideal in Jeet Kune Do. Can you look at a situation without naming it? Naming it, making it a word, causes fear. It is indeed difficult to see the situation simply. Our minds are very complex, and it is easy to teach one to be skillful, but it is difficult to teach him his own attitude. Jeet Kune Do favors formlessness so that it can assume all forms, and since Jeet Kune Do has no style, it can fit in with all styles. As a result, Jeet Kune Do utilizes all ways and is bound by none, and likewise uses any techniques or means which serve its end. Approach Jeet Kune Do with the idea of mastering the will. Forget about winning and losing. Forget about pride and pain. Let your opponent graze your skin and you smash it into his flesh. Let him smash into your flesh and you fracture his bones. Let him fracture your bones and you take his life. Do not be concerned with your escaping safely. Lay your life before him. The great mistake is to anticipate the outcome of the engagement. You ought not to be thinking of whether it ends in victory or in defeat. Let nature take its course, and your tools will strike at the right moment. Jeet Kune Do teaches us not to look backward once the course is decided upon. It treats life and death indifferently. Jeet Kune Do avoids the superficial, penetrates the complex, goes to the heart of the problem and pinpoints the key factors. Jeet Kune Do does not beat around the bush. It does not take winding detours. It follows a straight line to the objective. Simplicity is the shortest distance between 2 points. The art of Jeet Kune Do is simply to simplify. It is being oneself. It is reality in its isness. Thus, isness is the meaning, having freedom in its primary sense, not limited by attachments, confinements, partialization, complexities. Jeet Kune Do is the enlightenment. It is a way of life, a movement toward willpower and control, though it ought to be enlightened by intuition. While being trained, the student is to be active and dynamic in every way, but in actual combat, his mind must be calm and not at all disturbed. He must feel as if nothing critical is happening. When he advances, his steps should be light and secure, his eyes not fixed and glaring insanely at the enemy. His behavior should not be in any way different from his everyday behavior, no change taking place in his expression. Nothing betraying the fact that he is engaged in mortal combat. The tools, your natural weapons, have a double purpose. One, to destroy the opponent in front of you, annihilation of things that stand in the way of peace, justice, and humanity. 2, to destroy your own impulses caused by the instincts of self-preservation, to destroy anything bothering your mind, not to hurt anyone, but to overcome your own greed, anger, and folly. Jeet Kune Do is directed towards oneself. Punches and kicks are tools to kill the ego. The tools represent the force of intuitive or instinctive directness, which, unlike the intellect or the complicated ego, does not divide itself, blocking its own freedom. The tools move onward without looking back or to the side. Because of the pure-heartedness and empty-mindedness inherent in man, his tools partake of these qualities and play their role with the utmost degree of freedom. The tools stand as symbols of the invisible spirit, keeping the mind, body, and limbs in full activity. Absence of stereotyped technique as a substance means to be total and free. All lines and movements are the function. Non-attachment as the foundation is man's original nature. In its ordinary process, thought moves forward without halting. Past, present, and future thoughts continue as an unbroken stream. Absence of thought as a doctrine means not to be carried away by thought. In the process of thought, not to be defiled by external objects, to be in thought yet devoid of thought. True thusness is the substance of thought, and thought is the function of true thusness. To think of thusness, to define it in thought, is to defile it. Bring the mind into sharp focus and make it alert so that it can immediately intuit truth, which is everywhere. The mind must be emancipated from old habits, prejudices, restrictive thought processes, and even ordinary thought itself. Scratch away all the dirt your being has accumulated and reveal reality in its isness, or in its suchness, or in its nakedness, which corresponds to the Buddhist concept of emptiness. Empty your cup so that it may be filled, become devoid to gain totality. Bruce Lee. Tao of Jeet Kune Do by Bruce Lee. Digital Hawk holds an arm.